The reason for our discussion today is related to your podium presentation in Chicago, which is featured behind me. There was a subset of data taken from several studies on CTX-1301 that looked at pediatric data. Why do you think AACAP was so interested in having you featured in a podium presentation on this drug and in this population?
Well, a number of the people that work on the selection committee are researchers, and ACAP is very interested in what's novel and new and what is clinically significant for patients. And I think CTX-1301 fits the bill.
Can you summarize for us the primary and secondary endpoints and what those results were?
We looked at patients 6 to 17 years old, so they had to be less than 18 when they came in. We were looking at different doses of CTX-1301 to satisfy FDA requirements for studying the medication so that it could be marketed. And one of the things that they wanted with data is to look at different doses of CTX-1301. And it really, you look at efficacy, but really what the FDA is interested in is they're interested in side effects and they're interested in safety. They're interested in, does medication have a different side effect profile when you look at different doses? So they're called forced dose titration studies. And what that means is that patients are assigned to different groups. And the group that they're assigned to may not necessarily be the group with the dose that's going to be optimal for them. They don't get to pick. Some people may be on too much medication, other people may be on not enough medication. So this particular study, people were divided into 4 groups, and they got assigned to either get placebo, 18.5 milligrams of CTX-1301, 25 milligrams of CTX-1301, or 37.5 milligrams of CTX-1301. Now, they don't just start out, if they're on the highest dose, they don't just start there. You have some weeks where you start with the low dose and then you bump it up. So we started everybody at 12.5 milligrams, but that wasn't one of the groups. They went from 12.5 in a week. They went to 18.5. People that were assigned to the 25, then the next week they go to the 25. People that were assigned to the 37.5 would then bump up to 37.5. So they had at least 2 weeks on a dose of medication. And what we found, there was a significant improvement in ADHD symptoms, statistically improvement. There were numerical improvements in all of the dose groups, but statistically significant improvements with the 37.5 milligram dose compared to placebo. It was a small study. There were 102 patients, so there were about 25 people in each group. And so with smaller studies, you need higher efficacy numbers to see a difference between drug and placebo.